We are Cactus Wrestling. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.
Cactus Wrestling is now available on Spotify and Amazon. And don't forget to check us out on Etsy for all of your Cactus Wrestling apparel needs. Happy New Year from Cactus Wrestling
Happy New Year.
2025. For he's a jolly good
K25.
cactus, for he's a jolly good cactus,
He's a jolly good cactus.
which nobody can deny.
But
We're here in 2025, and we thought that it would be fun to kind of preview some up and coming talents for the future,
All for
really.
Penn State.
Well, no.
not confirmed that yet. Potentially, yes, but not
Half
yet.
this list is already there.
So, I
Okay.
mean, as this video title suggests, you have four phenom wrestling recruits that are going to be in college, two of them next season, and two of them the following season after that. And the hype train is very high on all four of these. So we're here to kind of see who is the most hyped and where do these four stack up in terms of history? Like, are these the most hyped wrestling recruits ever? Like, could we see one of these guys or multiple of these guys, four-time champions?
I mean, this could be the high school. I mean, people talk about like the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. I mean, you're looking at four names right here that could theoretically be the Mount Rushmore of high school wrestling.
So Marcus Blaze, Jax Forest, Bo Bassett, and PJ Duke. Those are the four that we are talking about here. And giant list of accolades for each and every one of them. I
It's kind
guess we
of
won't go through like each and every one,
Well,
but
if we condensed Jax Forest's list to how he would want it, it would just have one event on there.
second at regionals.
Exactly.
second in regionals, yeah,
This is the only one that really matters to him is that he took second at regional.
right. So let's start with Marcus Blaze because Marcus Blaze recently committed to Penn State and he probably has some of the splashiest wins
Yeah.
in his high school career. Really, for me, came onto the scene beating Matt Ramos last year at the 2023 Clarion Open. But then he followed that up at the Senior World Trials, beating the likes of Seth Gross, Nashawn Garrett, and Dayton Fix, and nearly beat Vito Arujau.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
well, that's not fair to say. I don't know if he nearly beat him, but it was like 2-0. It was very close in both matches that they wrestled.
And that was after Vito went on a huge dominant NCAA run.
And off his world championship.
Yeah. He was on a hot streak.
Yeah, no, I would say that I agree with Jack. Like Marcus Blaze kind of became a household name after Matt Ramos. Like I think that's when everyone started being like, well, who is this guy? Because if you look at some of his accolades, I mean, four-time Ironman placer, three-time finalist, two-time champ, took third one year. Eighth at Super 32 as a sophomore, fifth at Super 32 as a freshman, didn't wrestle Super 32 as a junior or senior. These are good. These are, big, great accomplishments. But then to go into the Clarion Open in 2023 as a finalist after beating Matt Ramos and Jax Forest in back-to-back matches. I mean, Matt Ramos was the number one 125 in the nation then. And Marcus Blaze was just a regular 120, 126.
Ba-boom.
And he's just hasn't slowed down since then. I mean, you guys talked about some of his accolades. He, world champion in 2023 as a junior. Only guy that I know of, especially right now, that is on the Olympic team and the world team at two different weights. He took third at the Olympic trials at 57. He beat Jax Forest, Nico Megaludis, Luke Lilladall. I mean, some of the biggest names in college. I mean, I've picked Luke to be my preseason pick for 125.
Which makes him, one of the biggest names in college because Mike picked him.
Yeah. And then to follow up his world bronze in 24. What does he do? He takes second at the senior at the world trials at 61 kilos. And as Jack's talked about, he beat some incredible guys. National champion in Seth Gross and Nashawn Garrett. perennial second place finisher in Dayton Fix. I mean, like these aren't just regular guys. You're like, oh, it's a down year, so this is who's there. I mean, Vito had the closest matches with him, and I think one thing that people think are starting to see with Marcus Blaze is his hand, hips, and head defense is incredible. Like his baseline defense, no one can get through to it. I
And
mean,
no one teaches that better than Penn State, really. That's my
yeah,
coach. My college coach was an assistant at Penn State, and he taught baseline defense. And that's like a staple that, I mean, Aaron
yeah.
Brooks does it better than pretty much anyone. So, yeah. So, what do we think the outlook looks like for Marcus Blaze now? I do think that wrestling is becoming similar to gymnastics in the sense that you kind of guys are kind of peaking at younger ages. It seems
Yeah.
like some of these
Uh,
guys, Seth Gross, Nation Garrett. Nation Garrett, I think, is my year. He's like 30 years old.
yeah.
So yeah, it's very impressive that Blaze beat him. But Dayton Fix, he's even like 25 years old.
I think he's
Uh,
27.
Yeah, 27.
27. That's
He was
disgusting.
He was
26 when he graduated, right?
26 when he was in
Well,
college.
all these guys are like 26, 20. And
Yeah.
wrestling, I mean, it just tears down your body. So, um, it just goes to show like the younger talent is just becoming more and more lethal
Yeah.
each and every year. So I think Blaze is going to have high success. I mean, it's kind of hard to
Jump, I
like
think.
predict, oh, four-time NCAA champion. It's only happened, what,
Yeah.
7 times in history?
Yeah.
But if there was anyone to do it based on Penn State's recruits, you wouldn't have picked the likes of, I know it's not possible, but you probably wouldn't have picked Levi Haynes or Mitchell Messenbrink beforehand, but they might be three-timers.
I mean, you might not even have picked Carter. Carter was, I think, a one or two time state champion coming out of high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you
But,
definitely wouldn't have picked Carter.
but I just, like you were talking about with Marcus Blaze, you know, about guys peaking earlier. I think he's actually someone that's peaked later. I mean, we look back at his folk style success, and he was not a killer as a freshman or a sophomore. He didn't really make his big jump until his junior year, and I feel like he's just been getting better and better and better. Where some of these other guys, and we'll get into it, have been on the scene dominating since they were, sixth grade. But
Hmm.
I think for Marcus Blaze, he's going to slot right in at 141. I really see him as like the next person to take to Bo Bartlett's going to kind of pass it to Marcus Blaze. And I think we're going to see someone in Marcus that is going to do really big things for Penn State. He's
You think he's going to be better than Bartlett?
Yeah.
it's tough because, Bo had such incredible accolades coming out of high school as well. I mean, he was, I believe, a four-time prep national champion. I mean, he was one of the top wrestlers in the nation. And, you would have said all signs point to him being a multiple-time national champ.
Does he
So
hold the record for most overtime matches?
I might go to Will Luan.
Yeah, Will Luan actually.
But man, I think Marcus Blaze, while he is focused on his folk style success, is really going to go with Penn State and because of their freestyle ability. And they have
What?
such a solid RTC in the NLWC right now. I think that's why he wants to be there.
Well, it's just interesting because all four of these guys are probably going to be separate weight classes in college, so we probably won't see any of it. Well, we know PJ Duke and Marcus Blaze they're going to be teammates, but
Yeah.
speaking of PJ Duke, we'll go on over another Penn State commit.
Criminally underrated.
Really?
I think so.
Underrated? I think
Underrated.
he's like the most
He's like
rated.
number 4 pound for pound, I think. If I remember
What?
correctly, I believe it's
By
Marcus
who?
is Jax Forest, PJ Duke, or Bo Bassett. I can't
But they're
remember.
separate. They're different recruiting classes, though.
No, I know, but the overall pound for pound high school rankings.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
guess I was looking at it from recruiting
no,
classes.
I think Marcus Blaze is number 1 and PJ Duke's number 2 in their recruiting class. But, you know, we're gonna look at PJ's incredible history of accolades, and there's a ton of them. But this is a guy that has missed multiple seasons due to injury, um, complete off seasons due to injury, um, missed a whole year because of New York's approach to how, the COVID situation. Um, I thought PJ was going to be the first ever six-time New York State champion, but
Didn't work out.
injuries and COVID got in the way. I mean, this is
I
a
thought
guy.
Ja'Cory Teamer was.
No, Jacory was a five. No one.
Oh,
PJ was
five.
the first seventh grader to ever win it.
Oh, I see.
Is he still the only?
Yeah,
At
Did you
what
say
weight?
Jax
106,
Forest did?
106,
he won it
103,
at 90.
or 99?
He teched his way through 99.
Is that even a weight class?
New York it is.
It
He
is.
ticked his way through 99. So would
It
he have done it at 106?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you watch his finals match, it's against oh God, what is Manfredi's first name?
Luca?
Luca?
No, well actually funny enough, it's Luca's cousin.
Hmm.
So who's
Paulo?
no, but he actually I think he's a commit to Edinburgh.
Hmm.
I could be wrong about that, but a very, very talented wrestler in his own right. And PJ just annihilated him. If you can go on YouTube and type in like PJ Duke, seventh grade state champion, he is a murderer. Like the original kind of Bo Bassett of like, I'm just gonna score points the entire time, and you're gonna wish that you never stepped on the mat with me.
That's what the old rules.
Yeah. But PJ Duke, first ever New York State champ as a seventh grader. First ever Eastern State champ as a seventh grader. As an eighth grader, beats Steve O'Pooling in a duel. Steve at the time was a senior and the number 5 pound for pound in the national rankings. PJ bumped up to take on the match and beats him as an eighth grader.
I mean, that's yeah, definitely impressive at the time. Steve-O really hasn't done much for us lately, but
Well, it's too
But
bad PJ Duke's going to be riding the bench because, as you can see right here, lost by injury default to a senior Tyler Kasak, his
yeah,
soon-to-be teammate. So same weight class. Sorry, PJ Duke. Nice try, but
gonna
you
lose the
have to.
wrestle off via injury default.
I
Yeah.
mean, I was saying like if PJ stays healthy, and that's the biggest if, I think he's underrated because of his injury history. I mean, if he didn't get hurt at New York States, I mean, I watched him dominate Super 32. I mean, he beat
Well, we
up.
just saw him dominate Bryce Andonian recently.
Yeah, yeah, and that's
Yeah,
what
that's
I'll get
true.
to, but he he was one of the first guys that I saw to be a finalist at the high school division as an eighth grader. Something that we saw Mason Gibson do as well. Bo Bassett also finalist as an eighth grader in the high school division. Um, dominate his way through Super 32, dominate his way through Fargo. Iron Man. I watched him beat Will Henkel with one arm, and Will Henkel's
Oh
another
yeah.
huge recruit for Penn State. Watching PJ Duke, who was hurt in the middle of that match, called for injury time twice, was ready to, default out of the match, and then still taking down someone as tough as Will Henkel multiple times in a match with one arm. Um,
I mean, is
then
that really that hard to do?
I,
Take people down with one arm?
it's pretty good, pretty good. I think that when I was always thought like PJ's style would translate well to freestyle, because he's a big judo guy as well for guys that know him. Huge into judo, and you could see that in his wrestling. Um, I if I remember correctly, he got into judo first and then got into wrestling. But I always thought like, hey, like this is a guy that can throw really well, big, loves to wrestle from his feet. Freestyle will do well for him. And then, you know, 2021, 2022 Journeyman Fall Classic, then wins the World Classic. He tech pins a U17 world bronze medalist before even making a world team himself. Tech pins a world bronze medalist in the finals. But what I think really solidified for me that he was so good is that PJ doesn't run from anything. He bumped up and he beat D Lockett in the World Classic, right? Wranglemania. If you haven't seen his video of NHSCA's, I believe it's Cornell Kevin did, from Slap the Mat, did a pretty good video on it. PJ scored a takedown like at NHSCA's. I think he averaged like a takedown every 18 seconds
Mm.
through the entire tournament. Um,
18 seconds, huh?
yep. Pan Am champ, taking his way through. U20 world bronze, should have been in the finals.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think he beats Tyler Kasak?
Yes.
You think it takes him 18 seconds to take Tyler Higgins down?
No, but watching the way Tyler's been wrestling, I think Tyler's got very good defense. PJ typically takes those guys apart. I mean, you know,
So you
additionally
say he
to
wins by injury default.
yeah. So
Do
we
you think
talked.
do you
Oh,
think
you go.
PJ beats Mitchell Messenbrink?
No, maybe not yet. I think PJ is a little bit more refined than Mitchell. I think they have very similar styles of like getting after it. Um, PJ was also third at the World Team Trials, similar to the way that Mitchell Messenbrink was. Um, so this is a guy that I think is very similar to Mitchell Messenbrink in that sense. I think he's going to fit in very good with Tyler Casack, Mitchell Messenbrink, that whole area of the lineup. But if I'm one of those guys, like I am concerned about this kid coming up. I really think he's the real deal, and like I said, I think he's underrated if anything.
Wow.
If he stays healthy, I think he wins multiple titles.
Big if.
Big if for sure, huge. I mean, injury history has not been on his side.
So let's move on to number 3 here, Jax Forest. And I think this guy, for me,
Is your number one?
I was gonna say number 4.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Maybe. Could be. Well, I mean, Jax Forest and Bo Bassett, there's no these are probably like the flashy names.
Yeah,
Like
people know.
they're most well known. They're the most marketed. They both kind of had takes on the whole recruiting process, having fun with it, posting pictures. Here are my top 10 schools, whatever.
My top
And
107, if you're Bo Bassett.
Knox had that recruiting video too,
Yeah.
like getting all the calls at
yeah,
midnight.
and I do think that Jax is the slickest wrestler of all these
Yeah.
with those throw bys and the duck unders that he hits.
Scores from anywhere.
Very slick, very lanky, very dangerous wrestler. Him and I forget which Rainey brother had a unbelievable match.
Oh, Jordan.
I think it was
Well,
Jordan Rainey.
every time he wrestles them, the matches are insane. I mean, he's wrestled them at Fargo, he's wrestled them at Super 32, he's wrestled them for
Has Rainey ever won?
yeah,
Yeah.
actually. One of them pinned no, one of them pinned they pinned Bo Bassett at Fargo. That was
Uh,
what it was. I'm not sure if they've ever beaten him. I want to say yes, but I don't know. And they've had some slobber knockers at who's number one. And just recently, I feel like they wrestled each other in a pretty crazy Iron Man.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
We saw him come on at the Clarion Open as well,
Yeah.
and he was beating guys he placed at the tournaments as a freshman in high school. Third place at a college tournament.
And he improved upon that by taking fifth the following year.
It's a bad system. So Pete, Peter, Jax had the same record. I think he went 4-1 both times, just where you lose in the bracket.
Right.
So it's not like true wrestlebacks. Um, and so I
Oh, the
believe,
semis dropped to third, fourth.
yeah, I believe that was the year that he wrestled against. Um, I think that's the year he lost to Marcus Blaze.
Well, costs you when you
So,
lose
and
those
so
matches.
it sent him to the quarters, and Blaze took third, I think, that year. Oh no, Blaze, no, Ramos took third, Blaze took second. But
So, so I've been saying for a while, I think Jax Forest commits to Oklahoma State. I think a
yeah,
David Taylor coach would do wonders for him. His style, he would be
Cowboy up.
he's got a closeness with Dayton
lethal.
Fix as well. I mean, and having Dayton Fix and Thomas Gilman, who are, I feel like Jax will probably outgrow 20, he's already 32. Um, I don't know. I think Oklahoma State's probably the most accurate because he is a Southern guy. Originally, he's from the Carolinas. He seems to have pretty good ties to down there. But I don't know. I think that, they've kind of put out stuff, him and his dad have been like, no, 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 we're not like, it's not a foregone conclusion. Like, we can go anywhere.
Yeah, but
But
then they go to
yeah,
Oklahoma State, get in the singlets, put cowboy hats on, and post
yeah,
pictures. Him and Bo Bassett. So like,
yep. But again, like Jack's super impressive as well. I mean, fourth at the Olympic trials, right behind uh, Marcus Blaze. Fourth at the senior world team trials at 61, two behind Marcus Blaze. Similar. freestyle accolades in that sense. He was a world silver medalist in 2022. Lot of college opens he's wrestled in. I think what's most impressive for me is his current high school record and his bonus rate.
Hodge, anybody?
95%, pretty good.
Yeah, 102 and 3 with a 95% bonus rate. Um, but what
That's
might be the most impressive as a recruit,
And he's only a junior, right?
he is, yeah. And
Yeah.
so Bishop McCourt was banned from competing their freshman year in the postseason, or else he probably would have won states.
Yeah.
So he'd probably be
probably.
yeah, I have a good feeling based on his accolades. Um, so he'd probably be a two-time state champ going for his third. But to me, I love the Who's Number One event that Flo puts on. Jax is a three-time invite, three-time champion. The first
Yeah.
four-time champ was Knox this year. I think Jax could be the second four-time champ next
That's
season.
because Flo didn't want to put DeLuca Knox as a rematch.
We're soft, afraid of good wrestling.
Yeah.
Um, I think that he has a style that translates really well to college. I think he's very tough to score on. He's very comfortable in dangerous positions. And I think that him already showing that he can push himself at college level wrestling with a college rule set of danger points and whatnot, I think he's going to do really, really well. Um, I'll save my ranking for one, two, three, four at the end of the video. I'm sure you guys will as well. But,
Well,
just
let's get into the last one then. Bo Bassett. And I
probably
don't have his promo code for all the uh
10% off.
merchandise he sells, but you can check him out on his Instagram.
Probably the
The
most
greatest
marketed
marketer,
wrestler. Yeah, I was about,
yeah,
yeah, probably the most marketed wrestler of all time.
yeah.
I mean, you have a high school wrestler who has like more more social media followers than American world champions.
Yeah, but you didn't put on this list Daniel Zepeda beat him. Pinned him. No.
Did sure
Boston
tech pin
Daniel
him.
DeVita.
Yeah,
It wasn't a pin, right?
it was a tech pin.
Tech pin,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was
Yeah,
getting attacked. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
have it. That's
that's
not really an
that.
accolade for
It's hard to
Bo.
get, that impressive with this accolade.
Yeah, I mean, Bo kind of really burst onto the scene. I think I remember talking to you guys about this years ago when I was like, "There's a seventh grader that just won worlds."
Yes.
Where PJ Duke was like, the first New York State champion. And Bo Bassett's like, yeah, man, I just won worlds, pinning my way through the tournament. Um, and additionally, what's impressive is he doubled down. He was the world team rep in both styles. Didn't medal in Greco, but still, like, pretty cool to be a seventh grader that makes the world team in two styles at U17.
Yeah, think of it, the 12-year-old kid who
Yeah,
has that
I,
drive
yeah,
and motivation and determination, wakes up at 4:30 in the morning every morning,
Oh yeah.
gets to it. I mean, you got to have a lot of
Ain't
respect
your
for the
average
kid.
bear.
that's what his family's always said, and I think they do a good job in interviews in that sense, where you know I don't know his mom's name, but she said something in an interview where she's like, a lot of people think my son is like the greatest wrestler ever. She goes, he's not. They go, he's got an insane work ethic and drive, and he wants to be the greatest. She goes, he's not naturally talented at things. And if you watch Bo wrestle, you kind of see that. Like,
Hmm.
he's not doing the crazy, flashy, incredible moves. I mean, but he's just like, a dog on a bone. He's just going after it all the time, and he's just got a high pace. Um, And I think that's why he's going to achieve a lot in colleges. And you guys can speak about this especially, is that, there's really good wrestlers that enter college, but then some guys aren't ready to work or grind through some of those moments.
Yeah, some guys are used to just coasting through high school, being like the top guy, having an easy time. Then they get to college where it's not that easy anymore. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
everyone's
were a
tough.
superstar. Now it's like big fish, little pond becomes big fish, big pond, and can't really or now little fish, big pond type of thing.
But, you know, follows up his world success, Super 32 finalist in the high school division as an eighth grader. Who does he lose to? Anthony Knox, one of the best in the recruiting class as well. And he's just won since then. Three-time Ironman champ. Um, three-time Powerade champ, three-time Super 32 champ, Clarion Open champ as a
And he
sophomore.
he he always bumps up weight classes too. He always takes
Yeah,
on challenges.
yeah. Millersville Open champ as a sophomore, U20 world bronze in freestyle. Uh, Not as impressive freestyle at senior level, but he was, made the Olympic team trials, last chance qualifier. He was a finalist as a sophomore. Beat some really good guys along that way. I mean, he beat Matt Kolosdik, I think is who he lost to, but he beat Schnalte.
Mm.
Um, and to Jack's point, yeah, when Bo wrestled at Who's Number One, not this season, but last season against Zapata, he was undersized significantly.
Hmm.
Where there was rumors that I think they wrestled at 38, if I remember correctly.
And didn't they
That's where they
rematch
wrestled
this
at. Yeah,
past year?
Yeah,
yeah, he
and
weighed like 37.9. It was
yep.
crazy.
So supposedly Bo was so underweight that he was on the scale with his shoes and his clothes on, and was still under 38. And Zapata was coming down. He was at 50, wrestled 50 the rest of the season, weighed in 38 for that event, and it was a 2-day weigh. It was a 24-hour weigh-in.
Hmm.
So he takes the challenge, knowing that like people still talk about like, oh, he lost to him. He lost. I think it just shows that like he's not afraid to scrap. Um, we see that like he takes losses rarely, but fourth in Fargo as a freshman, and this is after he was a world team champion, world champion, getting pinned by one of the Rainey brothers, and then losing in the wrestlebacks in the third place match. Um, tries to make the world team in a few years later in 2022, and loses to Lilidol in the trials. Lilidol would go on to take, I think, silver at Worlds that year. Um, Said, I'm going to double down again. I'm going to go for Greco. Took seventh. What probably impressed me the most, though, is his just absolute insane in-season wrestling record. You know, 94 and 0 right now, 96% bonus rate. Insane. I mean, watching him tech and pin his way through tournaments like Ironman and Powerade, which are renowned as the toughest events in all of high school, and he's teching and pinning these nationally ranked wrestlers. It's just insane.
Well, he clearly hasn't, tried the nutmeg games as
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got to do
not
nothing. He's got to do
he's
the
not a
Brookfield.
nutmeg game champ, but yeah, those are pretty good as well.
Hasn't won the Brookfield tournament either, I heard.
Yeah, the Brookfield Invitational. Well, he hasn't been invited.
Nope.
I like that he edged out the bonus rate by 1%, though.
Yeah.
Hmm. So there's our four: Marcus Blaze, Jack Forest, Bo Bassett, PJ Duke. So
Oh
we're
wait,
each.
Jack? Where do you think Bo Bass is going to college? You've been pretty high on this one.
Oh, he's going to Rutgers. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
he's going to Rutgers. And
Rutgers.
for anyone who doesn't think like, why would he go to Rutgers? It's such a waste of talent. Rutgers, blah blah blah. Okay, well, Nick Soriano won a national title there. Anthony Ashnalt won a national title there. This kid, it doesn't matter where he goes. Everything about him screams he's going to forge his own path.
Hmm.
He's not going to go. It was interesting. I was reading Aiden Sinclair's bio at Missouri, and he had a quote on there. He's saying like, um, "I wanted to go where, um, kind of like the unconventional route, not where people thought I should go, but what felt like the best for me." And then he ended up going to Missouri. So I don't think Bo Bassett's going
Didn't
to
he
go
remove
to.
Rutgers from his list, though?
No, it's still there. I was
No, he
joking.
keeps joking. He keeps
I keep
joking.
saying that every week. I'm like, oh, he removed him.
Oh,
Well, to add to that, Bo's cousin Mason Gibson is at
Ever
Rutgers,
since he moved, yeah, ever since Gibson
and
moved there, I've been high on that.
teammate that just flipped recruiting. Devin Agro was committed to Brown, I believe, and he's just flipped to Rutgers as well.
how
And
many is he down to?
I think 8, I don't know, 10 maybe. He hasn't updated in a little bit.
And
But
UVU is still on there. And it can
the
come or not UVU. Wait, no, Pitt
Pitt
Johnstown. Pitt
Johnson, yeah.
Johnstown. Yeah.
What's
Pitt
interesting,
Johnstown.
and again, if you believe like the wrestling Twitterverse or whatever you guys call it, where other people put out information.
Boschmania.
What's up? Yeah, Basham. I think it was Pat Minio, who honestly is pretty right pretty often, not just in the ways you expect. But I think he said something like, or somebody said something along the lines of like, it's already a done deal. Bo's father was offered like an RTC position at Rutgers, and additionally, they found a job for his mother in the Rutgers school system. So like the whole family would be making money, and Bo would have understandably a pretty good NIL compensation package.
You know how crazy this is because whoever gets him is probably going to get his brother and Melvin Miller.
Yeah.
They're all going to go to the same school, I'm assuming.
Well, that's where it gets interesting because their other cousin, Mason Gibson's older brother Eric, is at Penn State right now.
Not for long.
We'll
In
see.
that
We'll
lineup
see.
starting.
No, he's redshirting. He's a freshman. So he's I don't think he's I mean, Eric's a good wrestler, but as we've talked about, Penn State's chock full of them.
So let's get the cactus green here. We're each going to rank 1 through 4, and then we'll do our average ranking. And I'll start off with number 4 for me. And I think
Oh, I know who my number 4 is before you even say it.
Oh my
you
gosh.
do
I
you
don't.
want to say it, or do you want me to say
No,
it?
no, you could start.
Oh, so
I have someone in mind for number
the
4 before you say it.
ranking is who is the most hyped, right? Who's like the most.
Oh, I thought we were gonna do who's gonna have the most college success.
Oh, okay. Who's gonna have the most college success? Ooh, that
Oh,
changes things a little
We
that
bit.
could well, we,
changes
we could
things.
do both. I mean, it's our show.
Hmm.
That's true.
We might have to run this by the producers.
Yeah, run it by the producers. Hold on.
Get second
Please
level
hold. We will be
clearance.
right
Gotta
back.
run it
Next question. We'll
upstairs.
be right back with you.
Do one of those like TV
Yeah.
screen. If we had an editor, we would be like, all right, editor, this
Elevator
is where
music.
If
you know,
Mike
do the.
Gabordi did his job and got the
Yeah,
theme
if Mike
music, I'm literally
Caborti would ever
playing theme
get back
music
to
right
work.
now.
Okay, so this changes thing. Who's gonna have the most college success?
We should do both.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm still gonna go Jax Forest as number 4. That's not my.
You say 4 for most success?
Yeah, least amount of success.
So you think Force is going to have the least amount of success and is the least typed?
Well, I was just doing success.
Oh,
All right, so
How do I make this thicker? Brushes. Here we go.
the least amount of success for? That's not who I would have picked.
Okay. Who's
yeah.
who's going number 4?
Mike, you want to do yours?
Um,
Mike, you're gonna be blue.
okay. I'm gonna go PJ Duke.
Okay.
Could be the injury.
That is part of the factor there.
All right, Mike, you're gonna be red.
I'm gonna go Marcus Blaze.
That's insane to me.
I think so too. I think so too.
Well,
The reason is
I don't think it's that insane
I
because I
think
almost picked March.
I think because Marcus, in my mind, is still relatively unproven on the folk style scene. I think he's gonna have the most freestyle success out of the group. Um, I just I think we're putting a lot on the fact that he beat Matt Ramos and Jax Forest 2 years ago in folk style.
Mm.
Um, and we saw like that was when Matt Ramos was number one. Matt Ramos didn't do that great after that season, and that's fair to say. Um, and him and the Jax Forest match was down to the wire. It was not like it was if I remember correctly, it was pretty back and forth. Um, I think Marcus Blaze can do great, and I think he's going to do well. But even just last season, he lost to Ben Davino in a folk style match.
You heard it here first. We'll come back in 4 to 5 years or 6 years, however long it takes for them to all go through college, and we'll reference this video then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so number 3, I'm gonna say PJ Duke.
I'm going to say Marcus Blaze. I almost put
You're-
Marcus Blaze as 4.
Wait,
I'm
you're
gonna go-
you're blue?
He's
Yeah.
blue, yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Jax Forest.
Really?
To me, PJ Duke is so boomer bust because I think he has the most potential out of this group. I mean, it's a kid I've watched wrestle since he was young. I mean, he's an Empire kid, Iowa style back then. Now he's with KD. still local. I've gotten to watch him for years tear apart people that I considered great wrestlers. I've watched him dominate in everything he's gone into. Um, Very rarely does he lose, and even more rare is it because he didn't get hurt. Um, I think if he stays healthy, he'll have, be one of the most successful guys to go to college wrestling. But history's not really on his side. So I'm in a kind of a pickle here.
Mm. Okay, so number two, I'm between Marcus Blaze and Bo Bassett. I'm going Bo Bassett.
Wow.
As am I.
Wow. We're going PJ Duke.
And so that leaves one as Marcus Blaze for Jack, and then one for Jax Forest for Mike,
Yep.
and then one for Bo Bassett for Mike.
I mean, you don't even need to do the average. Bo Bassett's definitely the top on the average.
Well,
But
so I mean, it's pretty clear 4-3-1, 4-3-1. These two are tied,
yeah,
and then 4-3-2. So we're
PJ's
saying
last.
Bo
Yeah.
Bassett number one, Marcus Blaze and Jax Forest are tied for number two, and then last would be PJ Duke.
Now interesting here. Do we think this is because of the Bo Bassett hype train?
Bo
So
Bassett, what?
hype
Well,
train.
the thing
Oh,
is,
he's
like you
so
said
marketable.
earlier, I do feel like he does take losses,
Yeah.
and I
He
feel like
does take
he's
losses. He
kind
works
of,
hard, but like,
and like you said, he's not.
I think he'll have a lot of success. It's just, I don't think it'll be the most of the group of four here.
Yeah. So now do you want to do who is the most marketable, or what was that? The first one, the most hyped.
The most
Marketable? Is
hyped.
that what?
I would say for me, Bo Bassett is the most hyped. I
Yeah,
think
I don't necessarily need the colors. I think Bo Bassett and Jax Forest are 1, 2. I think
PJ would
I
be
think Blaze might
four.
be number 4, honestly. I
Yeah,
feel like
I'd
he's
say
like not
Blade is so under the radar.
he's
That's what.
so under the radar,
Yeah,
which is insane to me because of
Yeah.
he's number one pound for pound in the nation.
and no one even I feel like compared to
He's
these
the
other guys.
underdog as the number
That's
one
right.
guy.
Well, I mean, you guys might have heard Yanni did a story where he's like he was at. I think he was coaching at Fargo. Or he was at the World Team Trials, just like hanging out, and a mom came up to him and was like, "Hey, are you Bo Bassett?" He's like, "Oh no, I'm not," and she was like disgusted.
Oh yeah, I
Like,
remember
oh,
hearing
why am I
about that.
talking to you
Yeah, and she's like,
then?
"Ugh." And I think that's because like every kid I have in my youth program and in my high school program, they know Bo Bassett, they know Jax Forest. A lot of them know PJ because they wrestle with him. Um, but I think so few of them. If I was like, "Hey guys, like we're gonna watch film today from Iron Man, we're watching Marcus Blaze," they'd be like,
But can we watch the others instead?
"Yeah," and I would be like, "Look, like as Jack pointed out earlier, like Marcus Blaze does everything well. He's not flashy though. He is like."
He's not. No.
He gets a lot of bonus point wins, and I mean we see his record 157-2 before his senior year even started. Um, Three-time Ohio State champ, incredible wrestler, but he is not the guy that's putting up necessarily the highlight reels of takedowns that Bo Bassett does, or the crazy scrambling that ends in wild back points that Jax Forest does. Um, Marcus Blaze just wins, gritty sometimes, um, but he wins, and he is just very methodical, Aaron Brooks kind of style wrestling where he's just like, no one's gonna score on me. I mean, think about like he went through world trials without giving up a takedown. Vito Arujau couldn't take this guy down.
It's true.
I mean, Vito, who's one of the most prolific scorers, couldn't finish on this guy. Um, so I would say like I would agree. Marcus could be three, maybe even four for most hyped. I just think that he's so good, but people don't talk about him enough.
Yeah. Well, they will once he's in the lineup for Penn State.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's why like once he committed, people were starting to be like, "Oh my gosh, like, I've been a Marcus Blaze fan forever."
Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of Penn State guys out there that have been like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And then they start looking and like, oh yeah, I've loved him since, for always.
For always.
But
You don't know
listen,
him.
I have him at number 4 for my potential because I still think he's kind of coming into his own. And he has good wins, but I think his best style is freestyle. And I wish he wrestled at Ironman. I mean, I wish he wrestled at like Super 32 this year. I wish he wrestled, some more opens this year. I would love to see him at Midlands or the Southern Scuffle or something like that, where
Or Mawas.
yeah, or Mawas, yeah. Um, I want to see how he stacks up more so than the Clarion Open. And I watched him at the Findlay Open, but it wasn't, the competition wasn't crazy good for Marcus.
So there you have it. Those are our rankings of the most hyped and top high school wrestlers. Where do you have these four? Where do you rank them? Drop them in the comments down below and let us know your thoughts. And where do you think they're going to end up in college, especially for Forrest and Bassett? We want to know what your thoughts are. As always, thanks for watching Cactus Wrestling.
We are Cactus Wrestling. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.